Welcome to Crafts and Minis. This is the third week of the hobby streak. So on Twitter, each day I post a pic with hashtag hobby streak, and this is the progress after 21 days. So doing this YouTube channel has been a great motivation to keep active in the hobby and share with the community, and it's been so much fun. And I just wanted to show you what I got done this week. Now, compared to week 1 and 2, this isn't as much, but compared to every week before starting this channel and this hobby streak, this is a lot. So I wanted to show you, last week I had those huge scorpions. This week I added some Reaper scorpions. These are made out of the Reaper Bones material. And, you know, the tails on these can be a little wonky out of the package. So you either need to dunk them in some warm water and then bend them back and then dunk them in some cold water. Or I use a heat gun, but you got to be really careful when you do that. And it's kind of cool, though, to have a little variety in what direction the tails are so they're not totally uniform. So that's a good time. Then I painted up a bunch of skeletons. So I painted 8 skeletons from Mantic Games. These are for the Kings of War line, but also are being used in their new Mantic Games Vanguard, Kings of War Vanguard. And they came in actually a package I got that came with like ghouls and zombies also for Frostgrave. So Mantic partnered with Frostgrave to do some sets of undead. And so they turned out okay. They're not my favorite miniatures, but they're pretty good. In the middle here is my favorite miniature from this week. It's an ogre mage, and I could give him a lot more attention, and I might down the road. You know, tabletop painters always say that. Yeah, I'll go add some details later, and it doesn't happen. But this is based on a miniature from the board game Myth of like kind of a big orc or ogre in that game. But I did hand swaps and weapon swaps and a head swap with an Ogre Kingdoms ogre, and it turned out really nice. Now, if you notice on my paint jobs, some really shiny parts, it's based on some of the stuff I used to paint, like the Tamiya inks and stuff that I use come out super glossy. The time of the year that it's in this part of the world is super cold, so I can't go outside and use the sealing spray that I like to use, the Tester's Dull Coat or Krylon, whatever you got available. So I can't get these totally done until the weather warms up. Here are some fun skeletons. Now these are actual old school skeletons. These are from Games Workshop in the 90s for Warhammer. And these were crazy quick paint jobs, as you can tell. I shouldn't be this close, but they're skeletons. And I think, you know, just doing something like I did on the shield here, to do like a bronze base and then do like a brown wash and then do like this teal wash. GW sells, and I'm sorry I don't have the name of it off the top of my head, sells like an actual kind of patina effect paint that's this teal that I've used on a whole army before, and it looks really sharp. And there's some cool things you can do with it, but on the bronze, it looks awesome. It looks totally aged. And for skeletons like this, I mean, that just is a little detail to make it pop. Now, I love the sculptor Bobby Jackson. This is one of his ogres. I did not finish him this week, but I did finish 4 ogres he sculpted, except I feel kind of bad because I did not like all the original heads as is. I talk about it in another video. The eye patches kind of drove me crazy on one of the sculpts. And so I did some head swaps with these Demon Prince heads that I get really cheap on eBay. And I'm going to do another video sometime about just growing your bits box and just being attentive about your bits box, not just a huge box that's totally cluttered that you don't know what you have. I mean, that works for some people, and if it works for you, great. But I like to know what I have, and I'm intentional about actually seeking out bits for conversions. And you can see this is a really cool conversion on the miniature there to give it a whole different feel. So these are kind of course, evil looking ogres with the horns and all that. Maybe they're just misunderstood. I don't know. But I like having the option of sculpts that I love with just a head swap or a weapon swap, being able to use them in a whole different way on the tabletop. So that's my encouragement. Look at the sculpts you love, and especially if they're a material that's easy to convert, consider getting a couple and converting them so you get that sculpt on the table more often. Remember, as long as you're doing just a little something for the hobby each day, you are helping out in a tremendous way. Even if it's just watching one of these vids, go support all the other great content producers on YouTube. Check out all the great stuff going on Facebook and Twitter when it comes to tabletop gaming. But don't get discouraged, you know? If you're not at where you want with your painting, you got to just chip away at it. This is a lifetime hobby. And I just saw on Twitter a discussion going on that someone was remembering a favorite quote, that you don't want to compare your beginning with someone else's middle, like in their career, or if they're a writer and they're doing a novel, or, you know, if you're a painter. For me, I am very happy with these paint jobs. One, because they're quick, and most importantly, because they're done. But you just got to get to a spot in this hobby where you allow the enjoyment to kind of carry you. So go get after your hobby this week. This is Hobby Streak Week 3. And thanks for checking it out.